In 2019, Mobius Digital released quite an interesting title that was hailed by the fans and the critics alike and won several awards, Outer Wilds. This space exploration adventure game has its inception in 2012 as master's thesis of Alex Beecham, co-creative lead at Mobius Digital and the creative director of the game. It was 2014 when Alex joined Mobius Digital, and in the subsequent years, the studio expanded as it hired Beecham's entire team to develop Outer Wilds. This was the same year the game became the first title to be supported on the video game-centric crowdfunding site Fig, exceeding its original goal of $125,000. The following years saw the team working on Full Throttle, collaborating with Annapurna Interactive on the development of the game. The final stretch was slightly marred by the year-long exclusivity deal with Epic Games, but when the dust settled, it was safe to say the Touchdown was a massive success, with the Switch port now mere days away. What the hell, Suyash? This script is a love letter to Outer Wilds. If they want that, they can watch a documentary on NoClip. This was supposed to be a video examining the place of tutorials in video games. I don't need your script tutorial, I would do it on my own. Games like Outer Wilds and No Man's Sky are built around a timeless fantasy, exploration beyond bounds. That phrase has literal ramifications as both the games are set in outer space, the marvelous unknown, the final frontier. But it carries the certain metaphorical significance of much greater value. There isn't a discernible solid material goal like saving the princess or taking down a barrel-hurling gorilla, just a vague resemblance of traditional video game objectives. What are these symbols? Why is the solar system stuck in a time loop? Or what's at the center of the universe? You aren't given any insular direction or a checklist of objectives, just a peek at the bigger picture and a trail of subtle hints, and you're left alone to find your own path, write your own story. There are no invisible falls or areas that are restricted until you complete a certain mission. Not even the sky is the limit, your imagination is, or more accurately, developer's imagination. This may sound like a perfect game for a lot of adventure fanatics, but for some, it could appear a little daunting. The games are intuitive enough to understand without an explicit tutorial, and a seasoned gamer would have no problem figuring out the ins and the outs. But a complete beginner might get fed up in the first hour and wound up hating the game entirely. Today, video games have been more accessible than ever before due to the affordability of the consoles and ease of PC building. Don't worry, GPU prices are gonna plummet real soon. At least I hope so, because if it doesn't, I've screwed up big time. Sorry, I almost went on a tangent there. I have some personal interest in GPU space right now. I sold mine hoping the prices would go down. Sorry again, I went into the wrap-up territory. As I was saying, there is an unprecedented influx of gamers, and there are plenty of video games that try to appeal to these beginners. Take for example Cuphead, the platformer sensation 2017. Notorious for its difficulty, it still gives the player a tutorial section before throwing them into the battle with irregularly evil vegetables, surprisingly jolly frogs, and the devil itself. This section teaches you the basics of lateral movements, jumps, ducks, and even aim. Something similar can be seen in the Trine game series. Someone who hasn't picked up a controller in their life can play these games because instructions as basic as press A to jump appear on the screen. Even the immersive sim stealth masterpiece by Arcane Studio, Dishonored, has these accommodations for beginners. There is a tutorial screen when you reach a very first enemy, despite loading screen tips regarding lethal and non-lethal takedown approaches. Now, this might feel little helpful for new gamers, but it can appear patronizing to the veterans, and on top of that, it forms the suspension of disbelief, which is another word for immersion. But I'm not gonna go there, because that's all Suyash has ranted about in the past 2 video essays, and if I had to, I'm gonna launch myself into the space. By the way, go watch those 2 videos after this. He really knows his stuff. Okay, so it seems we are at an impasse here. Tutorials or no tutorials? We're screwed either way. Or are we? Thankfully, a solution to this has been defined well before there was ever a problem. The best thing to come from Valve. Okay, Lord Gaben is the best thing to come from Valve. The best thing that is developed by Valve. Well, they developed Steam, so whatever. One of the best things that Valve is famous for, Half-Life 2, has solved this dilemma of tutorial levels way back in 2004. Most of the learning in this game is done on the job. For instance, when you enter Ravenholm, you see a dead zombie chopped into pieces by a saw blade. The pathway to the next room is blocked by the same saw blades. As soon as you use your gravity gun to make your way, a zombie appears, making you instinctively hit fire button, and just like that, you have learned the efficacy of saw blades as a weapon against these zombies. Valve's masterpiece is littered with these invisible tutorials. Just take a look at the introduction to the annoying barnacle monster. Check out GMTK's video on this very aspect of Half-Life. If you are interested, links down below. Half-Life 2 was of course not the first one to do this. Classic games simply didn't have enough room on cartilage to fit a tutorial section, so they had to do so during the actual levels. Let's take a look at the most iconic sequence in the history of video games, Super Mario Bros. It starts without any explicit instructions. You know what to do on your own, or so you think. This section entirely is a tutorial level. There's a massive negative space on the right, prompting you to move towards right. Then there appears a dark, angry clone moving towards you, prompting you to jump. Then there are these shiny question mark things that pique your interest, prompting you to hit them and learn that rewards pop out of them. Next comes the mushroom. Although it's the same shape as the enemy before, the brighter colors make it seem innocuous. Even if some players might not catch on to it, the positioning of the walls above make it so that trying to jump over it sends you right back onto it, making you collide with the mushroom, giving you the power up. And just like that, in about 10 seconds, Miyamoto taught you the basics and virtually everything that is required to beat you the game without taking over your autonomy. Sure, he did that back then due to the lack of storage space, but it's a masterful execution that modern day developers could take note from and make the player feel more in control. Most of the times in video games, there isn't a one solution that fits all, but here the case might be a little different. Whether you like it or not, tutorials are an essential part of video games. They aren't going anywhere anytime soon. What developers can do is make them in a way that is less patronizing and more enlightening. In layman's term, make tutorials that don't seem like tutorial, at least if you want your game to appeal to the masses. This isn't to say that there isn't place for occasional games that just drop you into an open world without any instructions, like Minecraft. Thanks for watching my take on tutorials in this video games, along with my GPU tangent. I just couldn't help it. I have a lot at stake here. Anyways, let me know your views on video game tutorials down in the comment section, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. There are new videos coming out every Monday, so subscribe if you wanna watch us talk about Outer Wilds in much more depth next week. If you are into these kinds of video, go check out #gaming. His channel's link is in the description below. He's about to hit 1,000 subscribers, so why not help a brother in arm? Goodbye, stay safe, and hopefully GPU prices come down soon.